to start getting it out on the table about how we drive progress. And I think there is a huge ambition and appetite to do that. I want to thank the newly appointed ambassador from Sweden for Kenya, Hakan. Welcome. The PS, Mohammed Dakar, it is fantastic to have you here. We really appreciate it. My colleagues and my co-sponsors, T-Bod, welcome. Lovely to have you here from Total. We've got the European Business Chamber here as well. We've got Business Sweden. We've got, I think, just about everybody in the room that we need where we could make a decision to actually drive something really special in Kenya. But we'll get to that. Without further ado, I would like to invite his ambassador for Sweden, Hakan Akesson, to the stage for some opening remarks. And then we will welcome our PS, Mohammed Dakar. Hakan, please join me.
The mic is on. Thank you very much. Principal Secretary, distinguished guests, friends, good morning to all of you, and a warm welcome to this Sustainable Transport Forum, made possible thanks to the leadership of Scania and our partners, your chairman, Total Energy. We are gathering here at a critical time. We need to decarbonize transportation. We need to adopt cleaner energy solutions and build logistics systems that are not only efficient, but also environmentally responsible. We need to do that in Sweden, and I believe the same goes for Kenya. And the good thing is that there is not just an urgent need. The green transition also gives us enormous opportunity to innovate and become more competitive. The purpose of this forum is to bring together key stakeholders from across the transport and the logistics ecosystem to share knowledge, to learn from real-world case studies, and to explore practical ways towards decarbonization. We will listen to industry leaders who are already pioneering change, demonstrating how partnership, technology, and innovation can reduce emissions and improve efficiency. I believe we all know that the future of sustainable transport will not be built by any one actor alone. It requires collaboration, creativity, commitment across the entire ecosystem. And that's why we've invited such a diverse group of distinguished participants, business leaders, government representatives, NGOs, financial institutions, and other stakeholders, all sharing a vision for a more sustainable transport sector. As with Kenya, Sweden has long worked to support sustainable transport and green logistics. We are committed to sharing experiences and supporting innovation that will accelerate the green transition. I wish us all a productive and inspiring forum. Thank you. Asante sana. And I have now the honor of leaving the floor to the Principal Secretary, Mr. Dagar, please.
Thank you, Your Excellency Ambassador and the Deputy Ambassador Sophie. It's really an honor to have you here with us. Kenya is a fantastic country in all aspects, from tourism, from the people, the culture, and everything else. I don't want to speak much because then I might be construed as from the State Department of Tourism. We are here today to speak more about transport, and the ambassador has graciously already invited me at his residence, where we can side chat on where you need to go first. I can play that role to you as your personal tour, operator and overseer in this country. This administration, when it came into office, it was guided by what we refer to as the plan. We came into office under the philosophy of the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. The plan, what is popularly referred to as in the political language as the manifesto, you will see that transport does not really feature so much in the plan. And for the record, that plan is what guides us in implementing government policy for the last 2.5 to 3 years. We follow that plan to the letter and to the spirit. It's a very short document of about 67 or so pages. When you look at it deeply, you wouldn't see much on transport because we are a cross-cutting infrastructure enabler. I think if we were to be mentioned there, we will occupy perhaps more than half of the government priority implementation action plans. But there are some areas that stand out, and key among them is the development of e-mobility. When you look at the plan, it is in bold that Kenya needs to develop the nascent area on e-mobility and adopt the transition from ICE to e-mobility vehicles, e-mobility energy, and everything that you have. You will see that when we came into office, there were less than 500 EVs registered in Kenya. Today in the morning, I checked with one of my agencies at the National Transport Safety Authority. We have over 14,500 registered vehicles so far. This uptake has been achieved where the legislative and regulatory framework is not actually properly established. What does that tell you? I don't know, we have mathematicians on the room, they can tell us the leap from less than 500 to almost 15,000 vehicles, but this shows you that the citizenry, the private sector, cannot wait to have and to adopt electric vehicles in this country. It is timely, it is wanted by the public, and that is why anytime I hear anything regarding transition to e-mobility or anything with the word sustainable, we as transport, we always show up, because we have been accused, and rightfully so, as the biggest polluters in the world. The transport sector is one of the biggest polluters of greenhouse gases here in Kenya. When we came into office, we developed what we call the e-mobility policy, because we had no place to start. We had to put up a policy in place. It hasn't been done much in Africa, so we really look forward to benchmark from around the world. This is a very nascent area, not only in Kenya, but the entire Africa. We have developed the e-mobility policy, and now we need to develop the legal framework, the regulatory impact assessments, and all that kind of framework to enable us, adopt e-mobility in this country. We have also revised the integrated national transport policy, which inside it, e-mobility is highly pronounced. We have developed what we call the national urban transport policy, and most important, related to the theme today, the sustainable urban transport policy. Many policies, yes, because there exist none. And that's the place that we need to start from. I'm very happy to be here in the midst of Scania, who are pioneers, one of the oldest automobiles operating in this country, with a footprint of decades, and who have really championed through the Swedish embassy the uptake of EV, electric vehicles, from the ICE vehicles that we have. I have had a chance to interact with the embassy, have a chance to see the technology that Scania has adopted to ensure that there is an uptake of electric vehicles. I wouldn't want to say much today. I would like to listen from all the participants that are here, and I would like to stop here and really thank you again, the Embassy of Sweden, for having the Ministry of Roads and Transport with you today. I thank you.
Wow, those was quite insightful words from our chief guests, the ambassador and the PS Ministry of Transport, State Department of Transport. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to join me in welcoming the Managing Director, Scania East Africa, to come and make a presentation and just tell us a little bit more about Scania, what Scania is doing in this space of sustainable transport. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Managing Director, Scania East Africa, Mr. Vincent Connolly.
Got a controller? The slides? Is someone going to drive for me? Thank you very much. Okay, so welcome once again. I am Scottish, as you can probably tell, so please apologies from me in advance if my accent gets a bit too raw. Just please be very comfortable putting your hand up and asking me to speak slower or repeat myself. Okay, Scania. We will focus on Kenya, but I think it is good for us to perhaps just have a bit of a flavour about what Scania represents in the continent of Africa. And what you see here is our presence. And the dark colours on the map is where we are. We, in the main, own all of our workshop franchises. We have an ownership model where everybody is employed by the Scania organisation. That is everybody right down to the people who clean our trucks and buses. We have some independent franchises, but not many. Forgive me. Our journey in East Africa, particularly in Kenya, as you can see, in 2014 we acquired the local private distributor, and we stepped in as Scania ourselves. So when you talk about Kenya in particular, it's a fully owned organisation. We don't have dealers, we don't have franchises in Kenya. We own everything. So when you talk to one of my team, myself, anybody within the business, it's a representative of Scania. That is not to say having independent franchises is not a good model, it's fine. But we believe that we can offer the best service if we control the entire chain. So our technicians, our cleaners, our investments are all by ourselves. Our representation in Eastern Africa, I'm responsible for the region. That also includes developing Ethiopia and Rwanda. But if you look at Kenya and Tanzania, that is a fully owned outright organisation. We have an independent partner in Kampala and Uganda, but as you can see, we are very well represented. That is direct investment in the country. Our values, probably the backbone of everything we do. I won't read it to you, but everything we do pivots from this as our main foundation stone. We're exceptionally proud of it, and I think if you speak to anybody in the room that's part of my leadership team, they'll be able to talk to you about this without being able to read a slide. What we offer, trucks, buses of course, but we also offer generation, power generation. And every one of our products has the ability to be electrified, fully electrified, but we also offer alternative fuel systems. I don't want to shortcut the panel discussions, but in some areas you need to take steps. You cannot go from nothing to full electrification without infrastructure. And sometimes a biogas product will be more than sufficient. HVO engines, for example, where the engines will run on biomass and biogas, gives you significant carbon reductions, up to 92%. Electrification is where we're going, but sometimes you just need to take a step, the first step on that journey. I spoke about our workshop services, our parts. We offer full contracts. We have a telematics platform that we developed ourselves. I believe it's benchmark in the world. And that can actually give an operator a driver performance report with a minute's refresh rate, less than a minute's refresh rate. So you can see exactly what your vehicles are doing, where they are, how they're performing. And we do a lot of coaching and training. I don't know if anybody in the logistics sector here, if any of your drivers participated when we done the free eye tests in medicals. So in Kenya, we offered that to the entire country for free. I don't know if anybody benefited from that. I now know that my eyes are not very good, but that comes with age. Financial services. We do have partners outside of Scania, but we are also very proud to say that we have our own in-house financial services organization. We fund that through our own treasury, and to give you a flavor of that, in Eastern Africa, Scania has facilitated more than 165 million US dollars to bus and truck operators who have provided credit facilities. It's not a small number. It's not a small number. Half of that is in Kenya, where we have directly enabled people to acquire Scania products through our own credit facilities. 165 million US. We're not a bank. We're not a bank, but we're very proud to be able to facilitate credit. That is as short as I promised. This is not a Scania pitch. But I think it's important, hopefully, to give you a flavor for what Scania is and how we're represented in Kenya. We are exceptionally proud to be here. If you see the main office in Syokimau, that was just over a $10 million investment in workshop facilities. It's the best of its kind in Africa. It's the first and the best of its kind in the continent. If anybody wants a tour to see what we're doing, we're fully solar now as well. We've just put the entire roof is covered in a solar installation. I'm looking forward to being taught how the app works, but we're very proud of it. And our sustainability DNA is serious. It runs deep. The drive towards electrification is not an easy one. And Scania didn't take that on because it's easy. It's because it needs to be where we go. It is not science fiction, it's science fact. And it's plan A, because there is no plan B. I hope you enjoy this morning. Please ask a lot of questions, and I'm very, very happy to meet or discuss with anybody in a one-to-one to suit your diaries. Once again, thank you to my co-sponsors, His Excellency, the Deputy, and the PS. Thank you again. Pritchard, I'll pass back to you.
Thank you. Also, quite insightful remarks from the Managing Director, Scania East Africa. Yeah. Now we want to take a deep dive and a step further into this conversation. We want to listen to our partners and what they're doing in this space of sustainability. Yeah. So I will invite Mr. Othman Chawoi, the acting chairman, Eurocham Kenya, the Vice President, French Chamber of Commerce. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you Mr. Othman Chawoi. Let's appreciate him.
His Excellency, Principal Secretary for the Ministry of Roads and Transport, Mr. Mohamed Dahar. His Excellency, the Ambassador Hakan Akesan. All protocol observes, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, good morning. It's a pleasure to be with you today at this Sustainable Forum. On behalf of Eurocham Kenya, we thank you for the opportunity to be part of this important discussion on the future of transport in Kenya. Eurocham Kenya is still quite new. We launched in May of this year to support European and Kenyan businesses in navigating the Kenyan business environment while giving them visibility and a stronger collective voice. Our vision is to be the leading voice of European-Kenyan business partnership and a hub where dialogue and collaboration can thrive. We are founded by 6 European chambers, the French Chamber of Commerce, which our chairman now is Mr. Thibaut Fichy from Total, that I used to represent, Business Island Kenya, Danish Industry, the German Business Association, the Netherlands Business Hub, and the Portuguese Business Council, working closely with the EU delegation to Kenya. Since then, our membership has been growing steadily. And we are proud that Scania, our host today, is among our newest members. Thanks for that. Their leadership in sustainable mobility is a great example of the kind of forward-looking businesses we want to support and showcase. We are building Eurocham to be different, collaborative, agile, and impact-driven. A chamber that listens to its members, brings people together around shared priorities, and turns dialogue into results. Through advocacy, sector forums such as this one, and partnership with Kenyan institutions, our goal is to deliver value and create real opportunities for growth and sustainability. This work also connects directly to the European Union Global Gateway Strategy, which is about driving sustainable and trusted investment. Today's forum is a great example of that approach in action. Businesses, governments, and innovators coming together to shape solutions that are not only practical, but also good for the people and the planet. Finally, for companies here today and not yet members of Eurocham, a bit of advertising, we would be delighted to have you on board. This is your chamber, and the more voices around the table, the stronger it becomes. If you would like to learn more, please pass by the desk outside after the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your kind remarks, Mr. Othman. Next in line is Mr. Thibaut Flinchy, who is the Managing Director to Total Energies. He will be here to also share more light about what Total is doing in this kind of space, with what they are putting on the table towards a sustainable future. Let's welcome him.
His Excellency Mohamed Dagar, PS Ministry of Transport, His Excellency Mr. Hakan Nakeson, Ambassador of Sweden in Nairobi, Vincente, Managing Director of Scania, dear Othman, dear friends, so it's a real pleasure to be with you this morning as we explore the path toward a cleaner, more sustainable future for Kenya transporters sector. So first, my sincere thanks to Scania, to my friend Vicente, our fellow co-sponsors, so the European Chamber of Commerce and the Swedish Embassy, for making this forum possible. And of course, to our partners across the transport industry, this conversation would not be complete without you. Total Energy Marketing Kenya has been part of Kenya's journey since 1950, leading the way in quality energy products and innovative solutions. In 2021, we rebranded Total Energies with a S, from Total to Total Energies, reflecting our ambition, carbon neutrality by 2050 and a transformation into a broad energy company. So this ambition is not just words, it's action. So we are helping our customer cut their carbon footprint with practical, innovative solutions proposing EV solutions, LNG, hydrogen, biogas, biodiesel solution. So not everything here in Kenya, but it will come in the next future for sure. One of these concrete solutions already available for B2B customer and transporter available in Kenya is biodiesel. So a cleaner alternative to conventional diesel that reduces greenhouse gas emission and supports a healthier environment. Over the past 2 years, Total Energy Kenya has sold over 1 million liters of biodiesel in Kenya. So our B5 used by Scania, 5 meaning 5% of biodiesel blend meets KEPS standards, work with most diesel engines with no modification at all. And we can offer blends like B10 and B20 for customers who want to go further. Total Energy Kenya now powers industrial forklifts and generators with biodiesel, illustrating that it's a matter of will, and we have clearly to walk the talk on this matter at Total Energy Kenya. Another innovation in our portfolio is AdBlue, which dramatically lowers nitrogen emission from diesel engines, ensuring compliance with strict environmental standards. So, why does this matter? Because road transport powers Kenya's economy, moving goods, connecting people and creating jobs, but it's also a major source of emissions. By offering low-carbon practical solutions, we support both sustainability goals and business. This forum sends a powerful message, I think. Sustainable logistics is achievable if everyone commits to this goal. We need to act all together. Tugo pamoja, I would say, as a football Shan and Can sponsors. So Tugo pamoja. It requires collaboration among industry leaders, energy companies, transporters, truck manufacturers, and regulators. A full motivated team, Harambee Star Team, like the football team of Kenya, all together. At Total Energy, we believe in partnership, one truck, one customer, one initiative at a time. Together, we can drive meaningful change for a cleaner, greener Kenya. B2B transporters present this morning who want to start this road together, come and see us today. We are here for you. Thank you, and let's keep driving forward toward a cleaner, greener future for Kenya. Thank you very much. See you soon.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tibble Flinchy, for those kind remarks. Next, we will take a deep dive to have a panel discussion around this conversation of sustainable transport. And on stage, I want to invite our moderator for the day, Mr. Mara Nerima, who is the Sustainability Director, Scania East Africa. Let's welcome Mr. Mara to the stage. I will also welcome Mr. Mohamed Dakar, our PS, Ministry of Transport, State Department of Transport. Let's welcome the PS. I will welcome Mr. Carl Otwak, State Department of Energy. Let's welcome him. I will welcome Mr. Moses Nderitu, the Vice President, Electric Mobility Association of Kenya, EMAC. Then I will also welcome Mr. Michael Schuster, the Team Lead Sustainability Mobility Kenya, GIS. Let's welcome him.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning, and thank you, Pritchard, for that introduction. PS, Mr. Dega, welcome. And Michael, welcome as well. So this panel is just to sort of understand where we are in terms of policy, and to understand what more can be done to enable us to transition towards where we want to be, which is electric mobility. But I'm sure in between that, there's things that can be done to enable the larger population to also transition towards electric mobility. So my first question would be, with the global climate targets tightening, where do you see the greatest untapped opportunities for Kenya to exploit and transition into low or zero emissions transport and logistics?
Thanks for that. I mean, am I audible? Yeah. I think, still I would say the transport sector is still the place that we still need to tackle. Even though I gave statistics here of the transition from ICE to EV, but you could still see that there's so much we can do, particularly on public transport and also, personal vehicles. So that is still an area that we really need to continue. We still need to target, and as a country, I wish my colleagues from Treasury were here. You will see that there's deliberate efforts on offering incentives and non-incentives to ensure that the uptake continues to be, high in our transport sectors, whether it's public vehicles, whether it's commercial service vehicles, or it's personal vehicles. Of course, we have many other means of transport that I can speak to as we proceed.
Michael?
Thanks for the question. Happy to be here. Good to see such an initiative by Scania. Good morning, dear colleagues. For background purposes, I'm running a fully fledged project on e-mobility funded by the European Union and the German government, so also please bear with my German accent. Looking at the climate impact you raised, Tamara. I mean, what we witness in Kenya is like the good uptake already of two-wheelers, three-wheelers a little bit, and buses. So pity that Moses is not here from Basico, who could tell more about it. There we see already like a high uptake. Looking at the climate targets, I would say it's really good to be here today. See that Scania is already pushing this together with Total. So if you look at the medium and high duty vehicles, there we see like a high mileage, we see a high fuel consumption. So it's going to be a huge impact if we're going to transition to electric mobility and other suitable technologies. So happy to have this discussion today.
And just following on from that, like you said, a lot of the opportunities have been with two and three wheelers in the country. What opportunities do you see for the heavy transport sector? I'm talking particularly with the truck and bus sector, in terms of alternative fuels, because it's been sort of in the background of everything that's running. The focus has been on the startups who come up and do electric mobility, but is there opportunities for other fuels used, let's say, for the heavy transport sector?
Thank you. Tamara, let me take a step back here. I mean, e-mobility is like, it's good to have this discussion. It's also looking at this holistically, right? I mean, you can electrify traffic jams out there like without improving the real situation. Like, talking of time wasted by the driver and losses in operation. So actually, like also there is operational issues, there's planning issues attached to sustainable transport as well. And also modal switch, right? There's an SGR for long distance. It makes also sense to talk about these initiatives, looking at the technologies being available for road transport. E-mobility actually provides like high efficiency gains compared to ICE vehicles. And like another thing comes to mind is the Kenyan grid mix. Kenya has such a huge potential on renewable energy, looking at geothermal, which is like also great for heavy-duty vehicles because you could charge them overnight, where like the geothermal potential is like heavily underutilized. and then also the Carl from Ministry of Energy could talk about the e-mobility tariff that was put in place by KPSC and APRA that offers actually benefits in terms of tariffs. Yeah, as I said, like for two-wheelers and buses, there's already uptake. I'm not too concerned about the future market developments. For LDVs, I would say discussions are starting now. There's promising business models being developed by companies. So LDVs, I expect to see significant developments next year. But yeah, NDVs, HDVs, there's still challenges in terms of capex. I would say I hope to see like the first bigger fleets of NDV to HDVs in 5 years.
Thank you, Michael, on that. Just for the record, Ambassador, we work very closely with GZ. In fact, they're one of our top supporters on issues related to e-mobility. So I totally understand what he's saying, especially we have so many programs with them on the issues of e-mobility, both GZ, both BMZ. One of the programs that we're working together with is the Improve project, where we want to measure the consumption of fuels in our ICE vehicles. But particularly, you are right that the uptake on buses and lorries for both public service vehicles and commercial service vehicles is low. And I wish we had the stakeholders here with us. I don't know if you invited some of the stakeholders like Basigo for this meeting, and they could shed more light on why that is the case. And we have received submissions from some of bus manufacturing companies, including Scania, when we were soliciting for responses on our e-mobility policy, on what we can do as government to ensure that, we play our part in offering or incentivizing the uptake of public service vehicles. When you look at the Finance Act for this particular year, we offered 0 rated on 3-wheelers and 2-wheelers, and not on the buses. And maybe that is one of the hiccups that is there as government. We're looking into it. We also offered 0% on excise duty on lithium batteries. But again, this I think it's only for the 3-wheelers and the 2-wheelers. We all know here in Kenya, getting or acquiring EVs is still more expensive than purchasing an ICE vehicle. So as government, we are working with our national treasury to ensure then how would we make this area more attractive. It might be less to buy a boda than to buy a whole 19-seater bus to be used into public transport. And I don't want to speak for them. I think there are various models in place. They have a leasing model, I think I was telling Vincent here, the pitch he made, I almost felt like buying a truck because you are such a great salesman, though I'm not in that business and I don't intend to be in any. We hear people like Scania, people like other bus builders, that we need to play a role as government. And that is why we have this policy in place and a framework to look into these particular demands from the sector.
Thank you. I'll just latch on to something that you mentioned in terms of the cost of the EVs. It's a very high capital cost for most people to, whether it's a 2, 3, 4-wheeler, even a truck or a bus. Do you think that there's opportunity for other alternative fuels to help people slowly transition until we get to a point where EVs become more affordable? So I'm talking about things like HVO, biodiesel, biogas, FAME. Do you think there's an opportunity?
There's an opportunity on all that, and that is currently being adopted in the market. We can see that in place, and not only in the vehicle sector, but also in the rail sector. I'll give an example. We did a study with the help of development partners on where we should transition, or what will be our roadmap of transitioning our locomotive infrastructure from the heavily dependent diesel-powered engines that we currently run our trains with to electric. And so far we had 3 different models. We have a big fleet of locomotives in this country, over 100 years, some of them. If you visit our museum here at the railway station, you will see that we still maintain the steam locomotive. The Queen or the father of the Queen used at some point. But we have options to ensure that we transit from the diesel model to the diesel electric multiple unit model, and finally to the electric model. Because of what you're talking about, you can leapfrog, but you can't leapfrog everywhere. We can't just pack and close all what we have and jump directly to electric locomotives in place. At the port, we are also looking at other mechanism. We are working with different shipping lines to adopt shore power, that when you are approaching the port, you switch off the engines and you adopt the shore power. And we have already done a lot of work in there. One, and very important, I don't know if the Netherlands embassy is here, is that we have adopted a cool logistics corridor where we want to encourage the transportation of our horticulture and flowers from Naivasha through the port of Mombasa. Most of our horticulture, we freight them through air, but we have developed a mechanism that we are going to move horticulture all the way. We have put up a consolidation center in Naivasha where we pick all, horticulture. We rail them all the way to Mombasa. We ship them through the sea, and before the flower blooms, I think is it 24 days or 28 days, in a store in Antwerp or in Vaso, it already blooms. Not that we still want to encourage using air, but we're opening up a more robust way of reducing carbon emission through transportation through using sea freight.
Thank you, Jamal. Looking at technologies, I have to confess, I'm not here to sell anything. So I look at it from a more scientific or research perspective. As the PS rightly said, there is more modes than just road transport. I see for molecules, looking at biodiesel or whatever alternatives are out there, looking even at hydrogen and PTX derivatives. If you look at inland waterway, long distance, if you look at international air transport, international shipping, I see a need for this. When it comes to road transport, I am clearly with e-mobility solutions because of the high efficiency gains. And because of for Kenya, the case is clear, so much clear to me because of the Kenyan grid mix, the green grid mix. So electric mobility makes really sense in this case.
You're here to sell. That's all right. So following on from that, what do you think are the key barriers? Let's talk about technical, financial, or policy that are slowing down the adoption of sustainable or alternative technologies, fuel technologies in Kenya? And how can this be addressed from your perspective?
I will say three areas. Number one is the policy, and that is what we are currently working on. We have a policy in place that was actually developed by a task force we gazetted, and the task force involved members from the sector, from the private sector, from academia, from everybody else. We have a policy in place. To implement that policy, we have come up with a framework, an implementation framework, where it is 3 tiers. We have the ministers level, the cabinet secretary level, that will look at the policy, which has many other areas of intervention, because the policy is not enough. We need to develop a legislative framework. And we are now debating on either putting up an omnibus bill or putting up an act unto together, and we are working with our development partners, including the IFC, to see what model we are going to follow. 2, in terms of the implementation, we have at the PSS level, at our level, where we will come up with different areas to make sure that the implementation is done. We have also developed 5 technical working groups that will each look at different sectors on e-mobility, including the charging infrastructure, including the policy, including, you know, all that in place. So we have a plan. We have a plan to ensure that we implement this fully. Second is the area of, I would say, support. And I think I've spoken to this earlier from what we need to do as government, but what help we also need from the private sector. Also looking on how the uptake will be and how we can make the adoption of EVs more competitive. Third is the area of training and capacity building. As I mentioned earlier, this is an area that is nascent, not only in Kenya, but also in Africa, but we have a competitive advantage here in Kenya. And we are a nation of the first to ensure that we set the trend, not only in East Africa, but in the entire Africa. As you are aware, over 90% of our energy is entirely green, so we have no reason not to champion the adoption of EVs in Africa, I would say. I would dare say so, not only in Kenya. So those are the 3 particular areas and the areas of interventions that we're looking at to ensure that we address the institutional gap that is there, the training needs that are there, and the capacity building requirements that are needed.
Yes, almost said it all. Let me just bring in 2 additional aspects. On the technical barrier level, I see also the nascent charging infrastructure network still as an obstacle. If you look at bringing goods between from Mombasa to Nairobi and the way back, it's hard. If you have, well, it depends all on your battery capacity, but you need there is a need for a better charging infrastructure throughout Kenya. And on the financial side, access to affordable finance is an issue. We are working on projects. Happy to also have bilateral discussions with interested partners here. Knowledge at banks is still limited. Electric trucks have a longer payback time. So there is work that needs to be done jointly with commercial banks here, and also business models. For Basigo managed to successfully transfer the high capex of electric buses into a business model where you pay as you go. And to make this work for heavy duty, medium duty vehicles, that would be amazing to see in a couple of years to get trucks actually on the road.
Thank you. I think just in the interest of time, I have one last question. What is the one bold step you think could be taken by the stakeholders, whether it's from the private sector or the public sector, to accelerate decarbonization in the country?
From where I sit, I would say to accelerate decarbonization, from what I've mentioned, I would say is the adoption of the bus rapid transit system, the BRT system. That is something that we are determined as a government, for all the right reasons, but more so as a decarbonization tool or mechanism of reducing vehicles on our road and having, whether it's a double-decker or a long-range vehicle, plying all over the Nairobi metropolitan area, which is an area not only Nairobi, but the surrounding counties, including Muranga, Machakos, and Kiambu, and all these other counties. We are determined to ensure that the development of 5 BRT lines are in place. You know that we have a line, even though it's tolled, along, you'll see it when you drive through Thika Road. It runs all the way from Ruiru, Kenol, all the way to town. We want to make sure that that line is completed, and we want to attract private sector to come and operate vehicles. And our vision is already to have electric vehicles ply along that route. We also want to develop line 3, which is supported by what is referred to as Team Europe, that is the EAB, the AFD, the EU, that runs all the way from Dandora to Kenyatta Hospital to Ngong, and other 3 lines that run along the entire Nairobi metropolitan area. I think that is very key. Second, I would also say to tap into the rail area. We will soon be launching a commuter rail in Mombasa this month, where we expect the president himself to launch. That particular line will be ferrying 4,000 people a day. In Nairobi, we have 168 kilometers of commuter rail with different lines running from morning up to the evening. In Mombasa, we have just started, and we're going to expand this. And that is also, it's a place that to move 4,000 people using an electric locomotive would make more sense to us. And that's why we have a plan to transition from diesel-powered locomotives all the way, finally, through a plan to an electric locomotive, where we would be moving people, and that would be a key strategy to decarbonize outside what we're doing in the port, in the inland waterways, and also in our road transport sector.
Well, talking about passenger transport, let me add cycling lanes. It's good to see there's now at the UN Avenue there is cycling paths, but yeah, surviving my daily commute is a challenge. So I would love to see cycling, more cycling infrastructure in place as well. Looking at the truck segment, happy to jointly. It would be amazing to see trucks next year, in 2 years' time. Happy to jointly work with you. There's an announcement by other OEMs now for medium duty trucks, electric ones for next year. We'll see. Happy to support anyone who's keen. And charging infrastructure. We're supporting the Northern Border Agency on a feasibility study for going electric along the corridor. So happy to jointly work on deployment of charging infrastructure at the most feasible stretches.
Thank you. Thank you both for that. So before we finish, I just wanted to open the floor if there's any questions that anyone might have to the panel.
I'll take that. This country does not have a robust insurance policy. And that is one of the challenges that we're facing, not only on the electric forklifts, but also in the coverage, let's say, of public service vehicles. And that is why, through our mother ministry, that is the National Treasury, we're developing a comprehensive national insurance policy. And I want to believe that is an area that will be covered. And remember, the e-mobility is an area where you have the sector established before the framework. And that is where the government hurriedly was determined to make sure that we put up a framework in place than, you know, not having a framework in place. And we are determined to ensure that that all these hiccups that are there regarding to insurance, we are working with our mother ministry, that is the National Treasury. We would follow it up to see that particular challenge, if the issue, not only on the forklift, but the entire issue of coverage or providing of premiums on EVs is addressed in the policy.
It's good to see what's happening at the policy level. I mean, Kenya is not alone in this, right? Looking at forklifts, that's like one of the smallest batteries you can find, but still, like, companies were struggling. I learned Britain offered recently like a comprehensive insurance for electric passenger cars. Not sure, like I think it's 4-wheelers. But I mean, it gets even worse for trucks because the battery capacity is like huge. But other companies, like it's a global phenomenon. Like, it's still like in Europe, there's uncertainties about residual values, and this is where like insurance companies get a bit anxious. So like this is also where we see as a role for us as development partners to also capacitate in the first place insurance companies before the market and like takes also like own initiatives. But yeah, happy to also like take action on this.
Hi, my name is Johanna and I'm from Rome Electric. So as much as I'm in favor of electric vehicles, I also recognize that for heavy duty trucks and everything, it might be important to make a transition to more sustainable fuels first before you can fully electrify, because it's going to require a lot of infrastructure and so on. So my question is a bit technical, and it might not be it might be more suited for me to talk to Total after this, but I was thinking about the fact that they have biofuel as an alternative fuel right now, and I'm wondering if there's been any focus on looking at H3O100, because that is also a renewable fuel that usually works better in diesel vehicles, just by default. So if the question is to the panel, I'm wondering, where do you see the focus being in the future? Are you wanting to put resources and money into fully electrifying and like building out that infrastructure, or into research in more biofuels? Because for these companies to develop these technologies and also adapt them, there needs to be financing and backing for it. So where do you see focus going forward?
Let me say something. Johanna raised a very important aspect, not only on adoption of other fuels, but remember, in this country, we have what we refer to as the fuel fund, the road maintenance levy fund, which currently stands at 25 shillings to government. So, and this is a big fund that we use, you know, to do many things in this country, including what we had recently securitized to pay the very amount of spending bill that has been on the road sector of about 175 billion. So, we are concerned with that as government, to ensure that as we do an uptake of EVs, what does that mean to the ICE vehicles that are there? So this is also addressed in the policy, and that is currently where we are right now, to do a deep dive in this particular impact of EVs on the fuel that we use in this country. We're working with the World Resource Institute, we're working with GIZ, we're working internally as government through EPRA to ensure what will be the impact on this. There have been studies that have been done by government through our Kenya Roads Board to look particularly at the impact of, you know, EVs on the RMLF. So we are cognizant on that angle of your question, and we're determined that we will reach a place that we can balance both of these. And I don't think this is unique to Kenya. This is something that is almost everywhere in the world, because vehicles have, for a very long part, been ICE vehicles, internal combustion engine vehicles, than EV vehicles. But you go to other countries, I think they have managed to strike that balance of both having EVs and phasing out ICE at the same time. I don't know, Michael, if you want to say anything before we pass to...
That's all I'm excited. It would get too emotional. I mean, it's like depending on the feedstock, like Kenya's not the place where, but like people are starving here, right? So like, I'm not sure. Depending on the feedstock, on the processing of biofuels, I mean, like, it's a quick win for a company. What I see, like in Europe, logistics companies transition to HVO 100 that want to have like a quick win. There's discussion on the climate impact. There's discussion on other like land use impacts. Happy to have a side chat on this. I mean, like, you're right, I'm here to sell e-mobility because I'm mandated with this project. But for me, this is still the way to go, giving the like efficiency gains and also the clean energy in Kenya. Of course, it's a challenge, right? Like, but we are here to support this transition. So let's make it work.
Another good question coming.
Yeah, please allow me to stand up. Is that my audible? So my name is Oscar. I'm the chairman of the Leasing Association of Kenya. I have two questions. One to PS Mohammed and another question to the CEO of Total. Mr. PS, we have, as an association, we have been engaging the National Treasury. The government does a lot of leasing of motor vehicles mainly for the security sector. And there's a lot of discussion going on about transitioning from internal combustion engine vehicles to electric. How are we going on in terms of charging stations? Are we ready? And then my second question to the CEO of Total. We are getting a lot of push, especially customers or rather companies who are exporting products to Europe, and you have to use transport vehicles that are now Euro 4, Euro 5, on the engine emission specs. So in terms of our fuel quality, how are we coming up to meet up those very specific, those engines are very sensitive to fuel. Those are my two questions. Thank you.
Good morning. We can hear. Okay. Good morning. Good morning. My name is Mercy. I work for Kenya Transporters Association. First, I would still want to ask something around insurance, because for us as transporters, we're not looking at just the national cover, because we move across countries. So I would like to know, yes, in as much as there is weakness within our insurance sector, it's also important for our government to look at, or to try and engage other governments to ensure that once we get into electric mobility, then we are covered across the other nations once we go there. So probably you don't need to respond now, but it's something that as transporters we're interested to know. As Kenya, we discovered that we do have the natural gases. This is a question to Total, and probably also the national government. I would like to know, we've seen a lot of conversion of vehicles from using fuel to using gases, the LPG. For us, I think we would need to use probably the natural gases. Having discovered the gases here in Lamu, to the national government, what are the plans? Because it might not be so easy, and it's not cheap for a transporter to buy the electric truck, but it would be cheaper to convert and still it would be also cheaper in the long run when it comes to running the operations. And this is also an opportunity for Total. Are you exploring that option for us? Thank you so much.
Any more questions? One more.
So, good morning. I'm Madeleine Fries from Business Sweden. I have a question. First of all, it's very great to hear the policies related to this. But as we all know, investments comes with a cost. So my question is more related from a commercial point of view. To the part of this strategy, do the government have the financial capabilities to invest in this the coming years?
I think we've had a good set of questions. Maybe PS will start with you.
Okay, I will start with Elaine from the Business Reader. The government does not have financial capability to invest in this because the government were not in the business of doing any business that can be done by the private sector. So we will never be a competitor, Scania. Where we sit in this sector is just to make sure that we put up the policy and the enabling environment for adoption by the private sector to set shop, whether it's in, putting up a complete knockout kits, putting up a charging infrastructure, putting up what needs to be done. So that is really our intention, to ensure that we put up that enabling environment for adoption of enterprise to set shop in the country. Mercy has been an ardent supporter a stakeholder of our transport industry. She was involved together with other association of transport in the committee that's set up to address the issues of insurance, but we would follow up to really take that into mind. Oscar from the Leasing Association of Kenya, yes, one of the technical working groups that we are setting up will specifically look at the issue of the charging infrastructure. I will not advise anybody here who has an electric vehicle to drive, let's say, all the way to Marsabit, because the chances of getting a charging infrastructure outside Nairobi, and I don't know then how it will work to get you a charger from there so that you can come back. It is a nascent institution. Are we ready? We will be ready. We are getting ready. What we have is that we have guidelines that have been developed by the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority, EPRA. The guidelines on charging, they're in place. But I mentioned that we have a technical working group particularly to look into this issue of charging infrastructure across the country, and also it's something that we will endeavor to ensure, because it can be a weak link of having an electric vehicle and not being able to charge it if you're driving to Mombasa and you reach Miasenyi or Voi and you're out of cover, So we will be ready very soon to have that in place. Yeah.
Let me maybe just add, PS. There is actually pioneers who do this already, right? Kabisa was coming to last year's Electric Mobility Week all the way from Kampala to Nairobi, and there is now folks who are going from Nairobi to who went to the African Climate Summit and also to this year's Africa E-Mobility Week in Addis. So it's possible, but you have to plan, right? The kind of barriers are too high, so more infrastructure is needed. On the CNG issue, of course, like every country should utilize its own resources. CNG has an advantage when it comes to air pollution. Climate benefits are questionable, but yeah, of course, go ahead.
Maybe there was a section that Thibault or Vincent would like to cover?
I
think if it's okay, we had some very specific questions relating to product, technology, alternative fuels. Thibaud and I would be really happy to cover that off, but maybe I make a suggestion that we do that in the second session, maybe a bit more of a fireside chat style, and then we can probably field some of those questions and probably take a bit of pressure off that panel, because we're going to jump straight into some things where I think there'll be an answer and then there'll be another question. So if it's okay for the audience, maybe we cover that off when the group finishes, take a break for some coffee, we'll get ourselves set up, get the mics working properly, and we'll cover those sections and we'll take that away from this panel. Is that okay for the room? Nice one, perfect.
Yeah? That health break was quite important for all of us. I ended up noticing people who are networking quite nicely, yeah? And probably that's what we should have done from the start to the end. That's what people liked. Okay, but thank you so much for honoring the time so that we can be able to proceed and complete our program. Our next session will be a little bit different. We want to have a fireside chat with lots of Q&A back and forth so that we can be able to have a deep dive into this conversation, especially on renewable fuels, yeah? Be able to know what else can we be able to have on the table to support sustainability and sustainable transport. So we will start with a small video, just for it to give us an insight on this sustainable transport. So our media team, we ready? Okay.
To keep you on the road. At Scania, we believe in a future where transport is fossil-free, and it's within reach. For us, this is not just a vision, it's a responsibility, and a plan in motion. We're committed to being fossil-free by 2050, to a world where transport no longer runs on fossil fuels, in line with the Paris Agreement. Most of our emissions come from our vehicles out on the road. That's why we focus on electric solutions and renewable fuel, and collaborate with partners across the entire ecosystem. We also look inwards. In our factories, offices and logistics, we're transitioning to renewable energy and electric transport. And we're decarbonising our supply chain, starting with the materials that matter most: steel, batteries, aluminium and cast iron. This is our journey, bold, collaborative and based on science. Because driving the shift is not a slogan, it's how we move forward, together. At Scania, we believe in a future where transport is fossil-free, and it's within reach.
Okay, that was just to give us an insight about the different renewable fuels that we have available, and to usher us into the next conversation that we want to have. And that's why on stage I want to welcome our Managing Director, who will be joined by the Managing Director also for Total, that we can be able to engage them into this Q&A conversation, a chat sort of session, for us to have a different kind of conversation altogether, yeah? So join me in welcoming the Managing Director, Scania East Africa, Mr. Vincent Connolly, onto stage. We'll also invite the Managing Director, Total Energies, on stage, and similarly invite Ms. Caroline Englund on stage as well.
Fireside chat.
We will also be joined by the Commercial Director, Total Energies, Mr. Sandeep Mudri. Let's welcome him.
Let's see. Can you hear me well, I guess, yes? So good morning. We're missing one person on this panel. If I may just ask you to come and to, am I right, Tamara? She's not here, but I think that's what she told me. So I just want to make sure it's correct. Is it?
I think we can proceed.
Shall we? Okay, thank you so much. So this is Moses for the E-Mobility Association, yeah? Okay, you see last minute change, yeah? Are you comfortable with change? Well, you should be, huh? That's the only constant we have in life. All right, so, fire chat. So today we are here to hear from the private sector, right? We are here to hear about the success story, but we also want to hear about you. They'll talk, you talk. Is that okay? You must talk. If not, we cannot have an interactive session. Who's ready to ask questions and to talk? Please raise your hand. Hi. Okay, we see the introverts there that are just, but it's okay. We are still okay. All right. So Thibaut, Vincent, Sandeep, Moses, thank you so much. My name is Caroline, just in case you forgot and you want to interrupt me. Perfect. So first question, because we heard a lot about what you guys are doing, right, and the change that you have already done. So you've already taken steps to cut out emission or introduce cleaner transport solution. What result have you seen so far? But more importantly, what has surprised you most during those process? The question is for everyone.
Who wants to go first?
But since it's only men, how do we do it? I don't know. Since it's your event, want to start?
I can. Hello, everybody. Really energized with the amount of hands that went up. You never wanted to ask the PS any questions. But now we're on the hot seat. So the question is, how do we see alternative powertrain technologies and what surprised us? And we will pick up on the questions that were asked in the earlier session, so don't think we have forgotten you. I think for me at Scania, it is the open-mindedness from the transport sector. And in the end, that is what we are. It doesn't matter whether you're a transporter with a trailer or whether you're transporting people from A to B. There is an open-mindedness, there is an appetite for change, and there is I think, a real drive that is being limited sometimes through policy, sometimes just through a lack of infrastructure. So the door is open, but we need to find a way. And I think I mentioned in the first session, every journey starts with the first step. So, Scania was the first company in the world in its industry to sign up to the Paris Agreement and science-based targets. We were the first. And, we provide powertrain technologies, of course, that are diesel, that are gas, LNG, CNG. We have electrified trucks. We've got electrified buses. And we also have trucks that are autonomous. So for those of you that have looked at Scania, you'll see in Australia right now, we're supplying fully electrified, driverless mining trucks. So there's no people operating the vehicles. They go into the mines, they're fully electrified, they come back out. So the technology is there. I think the enabling factor now is for people to be able to make that shift through proof of concept and the fact that they can still be viable and profitable. There is no point forcing policy that basically busts the industry. You have to be able to still be sustainable as an organization. And for some companies that's fully electrified, that's great. For other companies it's smaller steps, and it can be gas, it can be HVO, hydrotreated vegetable oil. It can be a different, form of technology. So as I say, the willingness in Kenya is there. The door is open. It's how we enable them to be able to adopt these technologies and still be a viable enterprise.
It's okay, yeah. So as Total Energy, I would say the same thing as you. Clearly, there is a positive mindset from the ecosystem. I think the meeting that we have today is clearly a proof. Even from the state, I think I will come back on this topic a bit later, but I'm very pragmatic guy, so I want just to give you the real story. And the real story for Total Energy is simple. Today, we are supplying 1 million liters of biodiesel. So that's a first thing in this sustainable journey. We have, in terms of EV, only 2 EV stations with charging points. So it's not sufficient, but it's the first step. We are still waiting for the customer, to be frank, but that's the reality. And we have, we're going to achieve 30 EV swapping battery stations, you know, with partner, with EV motorcycle partner, like Ampersand, like Home, like Arkride. So that's for sustainability in Kenya, to be clear, for Total Energy. That's the first step. We have a lot of things we are preparing with the state, with partners, but that's the reality today.
Hello. Yeah, so good morning all. One thing I would like to say, and this is from the personal journey that I had, and our team is also here. What was rewarding, most rewarding, is that we started this journey mid-2023. And when we first approached our first customer, a transporter, there was a lot of doubts. Nobody was willing to really test on a commercial level biodiesel. The fear was that they were not really sure whether it was safe for the engine. So we had to go on through a 6-month pilot with one of our own transporters. It was a long journey. We started with a small truck, then we had so many tests done. But from that journey onwards, today as we are speaking, and as our MD said, we are selling 1 million liters of biodiesel today. We are selling to over 10-15 customers. Some of them are present in this room. I can see them. And today, what the shift that has happened is people call us to find out about biodiesel, and they want to adopt it. So I would say that has been the most rewarding part of the experience and the prize, that this acceptability and awareness that we have been able to develop in the market. But it is just baby steps today, even now. We have to do much more, and I'm sure we'll be able to do it.
Good morning. First, allow me to apologize for being late. I was supposed to be here on the first panel, but I live in the bedroom of Nairobi in the Kiambu County. And when Thika Road does its thing, Kingori, I see you in the house, you are not able to make it on time, so I apologize. What has surprised me, when we started the journey of Basigo, we concentrated on convincing matatu operators to ditch their diesel vehicles and adopt electric. And of course, we go through the usual fears, what will happen when it rains, how will I charge? But my biggest surprise is what's driving demand today is not even the operators, it's the passengers. There is a huge preference for electric vehicles or our electric buses compared to the diesel vehicles. That's actually what's driving demand. So we've got a 2.5-year waiting list, and nobody's dropping out of that waiting list for their buses. That is actually my biggest surprise. So what we have done is we've actually delighted our customer's customer, so our customer stays with us. So for me, that's a biggest surprise, that where we've got, if I would take you down to CBD, a diesel bus with all the bells and whistles, and you know we can tweak those vehicles, and an electric bus comes, the electric bus will always fill up faster. That is the biggest surprise. So it's acceptance by the public. That's my biggest surprise.
Thank you. Okay, so just the rule. Just let me start with the rule. First of all, I'm echoing. Yes? You see? Can you hear? Thank you so much. Still echoing. No, I think it's okay. We will figure it out. But the rule for us is we turn on our mic, we finish talking, we turn it off, yeah? So we don't have these like things happening. Is that okay? Perfect. So we talked most of the things that, or some of the things that you talked about is around people, right? We have policies, we have technology, but who truly drive the changes is, what Thibaut has it. Do you guys, no. Who drive change? Thank you. Right? And I think maybe we could just talk a bit more about that, right? When it comes to your customer, when it comes to community, when it comes to your employees, how do you guys ensure that the change is being driven by the people from those three segments, right? Your client, customers, your employees, and the community around it. Go first.
So how are we driving change? First and foremost, we at Basigo are very clear from the word go. We are a climate company. We are very sure. We are very clear about that. We don't pretend about it, and we know that's what we are. So when we are hiring, one of the things is we are very biased towards culture fit. If you are looking for a job in Basigo, anyone in the room, please remember you must be a climate disciple. Before your competence, before your papers, before everything else, we make sure that you are a culture fit, that you believe in the same gospel that we do. Then now we go to our clients. Our clients who are matatu operators, people look at them as a very strange market fit. However, these are the most savvy business people I know. They know their business very well. Forget about how we move cars, because in Kenya we don't drive, we just move cars. Yeah. However, these guys know what they need to do, how many kilometers they need to operate, how many passengers they need to carry, and they may not do a beautiful presentation for you, but they know their revenue per kilometer, their cost per kilometer. So I can preach climate all day, but if I don't preach to them economics, they are not listening to me. So they have understood, and they have seen the total cost of ownership of a bus, an electric bus, is much lower than the equivalent, I will not say the brand, diesel vehicle. So they have understood that. But so what we then had to bridge was the high upfront cost. The high upfront cost is, that's why we've gone with our pay-as-you-drive model, where you put a lower deposit equivalent to what you'd put if you are buying, and then it's a mileage-based financing. That they've understood. Now the pressure comes is they want charging infrastructure so that they can go where they want to go. Yeah, because what has happened in today, as the big circles have grown, originally one circle owned one route or operated in one route. Now they're democratic, they want to go everywhere. So that we have seen now, they're pushing us, and they are actually helping us find the plots, find the petrol stations where they already park, and say, can you put in charging infrastructure here? And then last but not least, which I already mentioned, is when over and over the passengers are preferring the electric vehicle, then that pushes these very savvy businessmen to want to acquire more electric vehicles. So my biggest challenge today is I cannot build infrastructure fast enough because I'm limited by capital, and I cannot deliver buses fast enough, but not because I don't have the demand. It's just how quickly can I deliver these buses to them and other types of vehicles. So we are now moving to other types of vehicles because we cannot make electrification of public transport a Nairobi affair. So we are now moving out of Nairobi with vans, and that way, and we'll be working with the OMCs, some who are already here. We are in very good negotiations with them on how to put charging infrastructure, especially in the peri-urban areas.
Also, everyone can talk, right? Everyone has the right to interrupt, to add on any type of question, yes? Yes?
Okay, so there are three areas that you asked, community, customer, and employees. So as Total Energies, and I'm not just saying because I'm an employee of Total Energies, we really do a lot, and I'll let our MD address the community and the employees. And when we talk of environment, when we talk of decarbonization, when we talk of clean energy, it's not just electric vehicles and biodiesel that we are talking about. We are talking of solar, we are talking of LPG, we are talking of any form of clean cooking and sustainability efforts. So as Total, tree planting, we do really a lot. But I'll just touch a little bit on the customer part of it. So as Mr. Moses said, economics. So one of the challenges that we have faced when we launched biodiesel, and which we are still facing, is that customers do accept the fact that it has got a big impact in terms of positive impact on the environment. But what we would like more participation from them is the fact to recognize that today, because of the scale, the bio component is more expensive. So even if it's a 5% mix or a 10% mix, that makes it a bit more expensive. But that one we have not yet been able to break the barrier, and Total has actually absorbed that additional cost in terms of trying to popularize this product in the market. So that's what we have done with our customers. In terms of when we pitch to our customers, when we talk to them, we really talk to them about their sustainability reports. We talk to them about their decarbonization vision. And in many cases, we have seen that that really opens the doors. And finally, in terms of, as I said, selling of clean energy, it's not just biodiesel. When we speak to a customer, when we talk to him, we look at all avenues. And even in some cases where we have to sacrifice our fuel volumes, we go and preach of using a more cleaner energy like LPG. So these are some of the efforts that we are taking with our customers. And the rest, I think, MD will elaborate.
No, I think it's so interesting that there is 4 men in the panel and everyone is looking at me like, who's talking, yeah? Yeah, almost, right?
Thank you, Caroline and Sandeep. Just to say that as Total Energy, I think we have to walk the talk on this topic, and clearly, as a leader of the company with Sandeep, we really have to find the way to push our employees. I think push is not the right word, because they are really convinced. When we speak about sustainability, the good aspect of that is it's a positive energy. So people are really positive on this topic. They want to come on board. They want to help you. Each time I've got this type of topic in the company, I can feel really the positive energy of my employees. So it's also a tool of management for sure, but you have to go a bit further. So how do you make this a reality? And once again, it has to be concrete. So we have put some rules. And for example, each time that we are going to sanction a file, we want to invest in a new company, we want to invest in a B2B partnership, for example, we are going to look at not only the NOI that we're going to have at the end of the P&L, but we are going to look at the CO2 emissions that we are going to save. This criteria is really, really important in the way we sanction our investment files. So that's reality. Second reality that I can give to you. So we have a lot of plants in Kenya. All of them now are with solar. We have also a lot of service stations, as you know. I think 2/3 of them today are also solarized. So you cannot see it because it's under the canopy, but I can assure you that it's fully solarized. Another example, our forklifts and our genset are now using biodiesel. So we have to walk the talk. I think that's the main point. And I'm so happy to have such a team in Kenya, so pushy. I can assure you, now they come to my office and they push me on this topic. So now I have to react. So the pressure is on me. It's not under them.
Thanks, Thibaut. I have to say, I feel really honored to be sitting on this panel. And also, I just want to say thank you, Moses, as well, because being a climate disciple is definitely one of the things in the Scania way. So thank you for supporting the Scania philosophy. I'm very much invested in you now. I mean, that's what it's all about, the financials. If operators, irrespective of what industry you're in, if you cannot make the shift financially, you'll never make the shift. So being creative, finding ways to enable people to take the jump is beyond a proof of concept. They have to be sustainable, sustainably profitable at the same time as the environmental credentials. And walking the talk is how it is. I mean, at Scania, as I said, we signed up to science-based targets. We were the first. So we don't just walk the talk, we're audited. So we can prove the source of materials. We can prove where our components come from for our battery chemistry. And it's audited. That means a lot. It means an awful lot. That comes at a cost as well. And I think, as I said, there are ranges of technologies that will suit everyone. The end game has to be electrification. Everybody subscribed to the energies position, but not everybody can make that jump. And if you talk about gas, the source of the gas is super, super important as well. Because whilst the engines may be putting out less emissions, the source of that energy is critical. You know, if you look at Kenya, we've got millions and millions of people creating waste, right? What do we do with all that waste in those landfills? Bury it? Bury it somewhere? I mean, that just doesn't work. But that waste, depending on what it is, can be upscaled to be put in an engine. And as I said before, that is not science fiction, it's science fact. If any of you have vacationed or travelled to the UK, you'll be familiar with the Waitrose brand or Asda or whatever. That's 100% Scania fleet, and they're all gas. The small vans are electrified because it makes sense. But when you want to go from one end of the country to the other, you can't do it. Operationally, the efficiencies aren't there yet. But Waitrose take all of their bio-waste, all of the food from the shops, everything. It goes into biodigesters, it is upskilled, and it powers their vehicles. I'm not sure food is where we want to be getting our energy from in Kenya when it can be a scarce commodity. But waste is something we have to also consider, because burying it in the ground for it to become fossilized is not the future for my kids or yours. But let us talk about the range of technologies we have, because there's no one silver bullet. And Scania provides all of the technologies for years.
Thank you so much, Vincent. And I think elimination of waste is one of Scania's value as well, right? That's what you presented before. Thank you so much. So I want to make sure that Vincent can hold his promise. So there are a few people that had pending question. Who was it? Sorry? You, yeah? So I'm gonna walk down and give you the mic so you can repeat your question and then you guys can answer. Is that okay? Perfect.
Okay, yeah, so I wanted to know a little bit technically, like the differences between, like, why is the focus on biofuel, for example, and not HVO? Maybe you can run through sort of the technical differences there, like what is the sort of gains with biofuel versus HVO? And then some other questions popped up when you were speaking. So what is the difference in like environmentally, so with emissions, between biodiesel and regular diesel? And you've all talked a lot about financials. So how are the financials on biodiesel versus diesel? Does it make sense?
That was more than one question.
All right, so who's ready to answer?
Yeah, I'll take that question. the first question, what is the difference between how is biodiesel more environmentally friendly than diesel? So in layman's language, very simply, you can always calculate 1 liter of diesel that you save and you convert it with a bio component, you save about 3 kilos of carbon dioxide emission. So that's the simple formula. So the more component of biodiesel that you have, bio component in the diesel, the more carbon dioxide emission you save. So that's the ballpark layman kind of calculations. The second, on the financials, as I said, yes, biofuel is more expensive. Because today the scales of bio is with the B100, which is the full bio which we mix into the fossil diesel, that is more expensive because of the scale, for a very small scale. But when now you mix it on a 5% or a 10% ratio, then that difference is not too high. But still, it is slightly expensive. But that is not really, I would say, a big determinant in adoption of biodiesel. Today, we are managing it with our customers. Some customers are paying a bit additional, the rest we are absorbing, but it is doable. But yes, it's slightly expensive. And finally, on the technical differences, hardly any. So even up to a mix of 30% bio component, if you really go into the technical parameters of diesel and biodiesel, it's more or less the same. I mean, we have been, before we launched biodiesel, we have written to all OEMs, including Scania. Scania was the first people to respond, and we wrote to Daimler, we wrote to Isuzu, we wrote to Ford. So all of them have responded back to us, saying, giving us approval for a much higher percentage of bio component than we currently do. So we mostly sell B5, but most of the companies have said up to B30, B40 is absolutely safe. There is no problem, no technical difference. So I hope I've answered all your questions. On?
Yeah, so part of it was also on HVO because, for example, I'm from Sweden. So in there I see a lot of HVO 100, which is 100% biofuel.
Okay.
And it's made in slightly different ways, but as I understand it, that's works in most diesel engines as well as diesel does. But for what you're describing, you're using biofuel, which is mostly 5%. So if you want to get that up to 100, like how is that technically feasible? And like why is the priority going in biodiesel and not HVO, for example? Does that have to do with feedstock available?
Vincent yes, that's feedstock is definitely one of the considerations because as I spoke of the scale, so the availability is still a constraint in Kenya. With Vincent sitting here with me, if he approves and if he allows, then we'll start selling B100 to Scania right now because they were one of the companies really who wrote back to us saying that up to B100 is okay for their Euro 5 trucks. So, but I think the adoption in the market, as I said, when we started in mid-2023, even to start selling biodiesel was a problem because there were so much doubts in the minds of people, and we are taking baby steps. So we have moved to B5. B5 is well accepted, but we will definitely move higher and higher. But to go to B100 at this point of time, possibly it will take some more time.
Does that answer the question, or do you want me to? Is that okay? I'll take it.
Yeah.
So HVO, hydrotreated vegetable oil, is available, and I think I touched on it earlier. The source that provides that energy is really, really important. So a lot of the time we talk about HVO or electrification because there's no exhaust or whatever. But rarely do people want to volunteer the source of the components that make up battery chemistry, the rare metals, or in HVO's perspective, feedstock, really, I'm not, whilst it works, and in Europe that is easily done. In Kenya, I'm not sure I would want to go into HVO from feedstock. I don't think that's the best use of feed in this country. But the technology is there. And from an engine perspective, you can go straight to 100% and don't put any diesel in. All it changes is your servicing intervals, because the lubricative qualities need to change just for the seals in the engine to ensure that you still get that reliability. But there is nothing stopping us today, right now, going to 100%. And we did send that letter because we're on a journey together. But again, it has to be viable. The economics need to work. Moses was absolutely spot on. So maybe that answers the question. There was another question about gas and upscaling existing diesel engines. Do you want me to cover that while I've got the mic?
Please go ahead.
So I think it was yourself that was talking about gas. So we've got gas trucks running in Africa right now. Coca-Cola's running gas trucks, Scania trucks in Tanzania. We supply gas buses. You know, that technology is there. We've been supplying them for 30 years. The challenge, again, just comes down to financials. And do we get exemptions, for example? If the PS was here right now, we could bring gas trucks in, and do we get an exemption? You need that. There is a very real risk when you try to upscale an old diesel engine to gas technology. Your combustion chamber pressure is very different, and the temperature is very different. So I was part of an organisation in the UK where we tried this, and you basically melt the engines. You cannot take an old diesel engine and then stick gas technology into it. The cylinder head and the blocks can't take the temperature. You basically melt them. So upscaling old trucks or old buses, it's not going to work. If it's a Matatu, speak to Moses. If it's a big, serious bus, you know, you want to go country to country or end to end, speak to Scania, because we can supply them. But on trucks as well, CNG and LNG, you can do it. The technology's there, for sure. But again, you need to make sure that the duties we're paying versus the sustainable credentials, the government needs to be on board with that. And from an infrastructure perspective, it's easy because you can put gas skids in anywhere. You can put them in any operator's yard and come and fill them up. So you don't need a lot of cables. You just need space for tanks. And we can do that today, right now. Does that answer your question? Is that okay?
So before you just give the mic, I want to switch up a tiny bit the roles. Are you guys ready? Question. If you ask a question, you cannot speak for more than 30 seconds. Yes? Yes? Is that okay? It's just now for timing, right? And the panel, I will ask you to not go over 5 minutes, no, over 1 minute, yeah? So then it means that it gives us more time for everyone to ask questions and for the panel to answer. Is everyone comfortable with it? Yes? Anyways, who's gonna say no to me? The point. So, please, you have the mic. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Alex Kohner. I'm leading UNEP's electric mobility program. It's a pretty big one. We're having national projects in about 60 countries. I would like to ask a question to the MD of Total. We heard a lot about financing being the issue, yeah? Moses telling us that he's got a 2.5-year waiting list for his electric buses, yeah? Now, in other parts of the world, we see the energy sector being involved in financing public transportation. Like, for example, Chile, you have NLX, big power utility, playing the financier for bus operators, yeah? Now, is that something a big energy company like Total could envisage in, let's say, a region like Africa, not only providing product but sort of providing service, entering that space of, let's say, since you are financially potent, being the agency, being the how to say, the broker in scaling up electric public transport?
Maybe Thibaut, before you answer the question, if that's okay, if your memory is okay, could we take maybe 2 more questions, but kindly remember my rules. I will put it down to 10 seconds. Hopefully it will not go over 30 seconds. Yes? And I'm saying that with all my kindness, so everyone can participate, yeah?
Okay, my name is Julius, International Chamber of Commerce. I have 2 questions. One goes to Vincent. You shared with us your financial services that you're offering to your customers. So we'd like to know, how do you go about asset financing, trade finance for your customers? And then I have a question to Thibault on decarbonization strategy. Is there an opportunity to do biofuels and biodiesel production locally using waste recycling in Kenya and castor seed farming? Thank you.
Thank you so much. How is your memory? Shall we go with 1 more or shall we answer now? However you're comfortable. Okay, 1 more. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. My name is Engineer Geoffrey Ndishu from Mechanical and Transport under the State Department for Roads in the Ministry of Roads and Transport. My question goes either to Total or Scania. The reason why electric mobility is a favorite topic in very many of the financials, and especially of the foreign exchange, it will save Kenya when we now, because our grid is rich and we have excess energy. But to the local Mwananchi, it is because the mileage of using diesel versus electric. And so I'm asking, when do we come to the aspect of biodiesel? Is there an analysis to know that for this diesel, for 1 kilometer or for this number of kilometers, this is the amount it's consuming? So that you're able to break the matrix, you say, this is more expensive, yes, but it is giving this mileage that is extra than this, away from the other one. Then, along tied to that, one of the reasons why Basigo is very successful is because of the business model they designed. Have you thought along that line of designing a business model that is in Kenyan economic systems? Thank you. Then the last one, the last one is the aspect of localization. Electric mobility and other technologies look at the aspect of localization. Is there a component of localization in that space? Thank you.
Thank you so much. So now we have to stop because the memory is getting harder, right? Who would like to start? Maybe Thibault, you had the first question. Maybe you start.
Okay, so I take your question. Thank you for the question. I think in terms of investment, we are able to do a lot of projects, but clearly the first thing that we need, it's a clear policy and a long-term policy, a consistent policy. When we see the future, we can foresee the future, we are able to invest in everything. To be frank, it's not yet the case for EV in Kenya, even if things are moving, thanks to many of you around the table. But we still need a bit of information to answer clearly to your question. So, in principle, yes, for sure we are more private company, so to support Basico, for example, for us is easier. But we are also ready to do public investment for sure, as we have done in a lot of countries. It's okay for you? Maybe it's the question concerning the biofuel. Or maybe you want to give the mic to someone. Biofuel. So I think it's really important to keep in mind that if we want to be sustainable in biofuel, we have to do it being respectful of people, not competing with
foods. And that's the key reason why, for the moment in Kenya, for Total Energy, we are only working with used cooked oil. So the oil coming from the kitchen. So there are many kitchens in Kenya, but finally the market is a bit short. So we can do biodiesel with that through partners for collecting. It's a job to collect used cooked oil, to put it in a plant, to blend. So it's a job. Yes, we can go further, but we need a policy once again. Why we can do further? Because some of my competitors are doing it. I don't have anything to. I want to be very clear. So Eni, which an Italian company, is producing some crops, waste. I don't know the technical word, but they produce some crops that they are using for sustainable aviation fuel, but in Italy. So they export in fact the crops from Kenya to Italy, meaning that if we want and if there is a regulation on it, we can do it in Kenya. We can do it in Kenya. So that's my second message. At this stage, be very safe. So as Total Energy, we make the choice to stay with used cooked oil. But in the future, if there is regulation, a clear regulation, and we are sure that we are not going to compete with food, we will do it.
Thanks, Thibault. I'm not sure who wants to go next, but please be tuned.
Maybe I can pick up on the funding question. You only give us a minute, right?
No, Vincent, thank you so much for reminding that, because I didn't want to interrupt Thibault, nor some of you guys that ask very long questions. We're not judging, but see my point. Thank you, Vincent.
So asset-based funding, I mentioned in the earlier session, Scania, we have external partners as well, but we're very proud to talk about Scania Financial Services. So that is a financial services arm that sits within our organisation. We fund it out of our own treasury, and as I mentioned this morning, within Kenya and Tanzania, my portfolio is about 165 million US. That is money that we have provided operators with to start up bus businesses, truck businesses, genset businesses. So that is available to anyone that wants or is interested in Scania. So we provide asset-based funding ourselves. I sit on that board, I take the risk. And at the moment, we are very much invested in Kenya, and we will continue to invest. I'm actually just setting up a dedicated team right now in Kenya for asset-based funding. But we do have complementary companies we also support. So if you don't want Scania Finance, it's okay. But if you want to use your bank finance or a third-party finance arm for some sort of other investment, use it, but don't use it to buy a bus or a truck. Use us, because then you've got more than one, funding arm for your organisation. I'm trying to pick up on your question and your question. Does that answer it? No, you don't get another shot. But we've got rules, Julius. We've got rules. Sorry. We have all sorts of options. So you can have a purchasing option, you can have a finance lease option. Shema Moga, who's the country director for Kenya, he runs our retail operations, will shortly be launching Scania Rental. So if you don't want to buy a truck, or your CapEx light, or you've got a contract that's only 12 months or 24 months, you'll be able to rent a Scania and give it back to us after whatever time. So that is an exciting product we're bringing to the market. I think we're first out. Again, we will fund that ourselves. So for those customers that want short-term capability, Scania Truck Rental will be available to them. So that gives you a lease or a rental product as well. Is that okay, Julius?
I can see everyone is breaking my rules. So I have to remind you, because if not, we're going to be here until 1 p.m., yeah? Sandeep Moses, do you think you can do it in 2 minutes?
I'll do it in about 20 seconds, that's okay?
Ha! Let's see.
So I'll just answer one question of engineer, whether there has been a study on mileage between biodiesel and normal fossil diesel. In our studies, in our pilots that we have done, but that was for B5 and B10, there is no significant decrease in mileage. There is absolutely no decrease. I mean, it doesn't increase the mileage, but it doesn't decrease either. So no issues on there.
I think we can give a round of applause for Sandeep, please. Thank you so much. Moses?
All the questions were about diesel. I don't know anything about diesel. Yeah, but maybe I'll just, one way, I think you asked about financing. One of the ways that Total can actually help, because you guys have a deep balance sheet, you have a lower cost of capital, is in building the infrastructure. Because if I have to build the infrastructure, then I am reducing what is available to actually for the rolling stock. Right now, you have real estate across the country. It's real estate, members of EMAC, people who are bringing EVs can use, but we don't have the real estate, nor do we have the ability to build countrywide. So if we ride on your infrastructure, then that becomes a big trigger to actually increasing EVs. So I think that's a way that you're not directly financing us, but you're actually financing and getting the upside of the energy.
Thibaut, did you hear?
20 seconds to answer, but yes, Moses, you're right. We are ready to do it. So we have two service stations with charging point, but we are ready to extend these charging points. The only question is we need regulation, because we don't know which taxes we are going to pay. Yeah. We don't know the prices of, so we are a bit lost. So we need a regulation. I heard about the PS comment. I'm sure it is coming, but yeah, it's egg and chicken. I know the topic. So yes, we're going to be the eggs. We are going to push.
Let's break those eggs and make some omelette. Let the regulations find us. Yeah.
Sorry, I have so many rules, but just remember one rule, which is turn off your mic. If not, it does the echo. Yeah. Okay, I think we have maybe Tamara. Sorry, it's 10:46. We have time for 2 questions, or yes? Okay, so maybe here and here. Perfect. I'm going. Am I going? Sorry. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Is it working? Yeah. Okay. I'm Rose Digger, a consultant in this space. Actually, my question was for you, Moses, in terms of what do you believe is the scale of investment required to crack the infrastructure problem?
Very good question, and of course respecting the rules. Thank you so much. And then we had a question there.
Mine is not a question, it's just a quick comment. For those who are asking about the various fuel types and how they perform against each other, using some of your trucks and using some of your clients, I have a full study. I can show it to you on my laptop, and it'll show you how these trucks perform with various fuel types to the financials. So that's one. And then the other one is Scania, Total Energies. Why don't you guys do a lot more of these studies to help the market understand what this transition looks like? It's one thing to talk about it. It's another thing to actually demonstrate what this would look like for various players in the market, especially when you're talking about legacy organizations versus startups. Startups will do anything. That's why Moses does what he does. But Mercy and her team of legacy organizations, they need a demonstration to show them what's up.
Olivia, I was hoping you'd get me out of that question of how much investment is required. To be honest, I can't give you a dollar figure, but the way I would answer you is, for transport to be electrified, the driver must feel must feel that he can go where he wants without that range anxiety. Now, what we are doing in Nairobi, easy, because matatus or even trucks, which are doing last mile, operate on a set schedule or a set route. But when now you start trying to electrify, especially like passenger vehicles, we don't know where we are going. We don't plan our journeys across. So there has to be an area whereby we've got enough infrastructure, not as much as we've got with the fossil fuels, but that you don't feel that range anxiety. But again, I think sometimes range anxiety is a fallacy, because especially as men, our vehicles are permanently on empty. We never fill up our tanks. So therefore, everybody when it comes to electric vehicles are worried about how far can I go. But most of us drive 20, 30 kilometers. So it's not a big deal for you and I commuting or you using our vehicles. But when you're using commercial vehicles and you're delivering goods to a client, that person needs to feel that they can deliver and get back. And if thicker road happens, they are not going to get stuck. I think that's where it's just trying to get to that point whereby you're giving that driver the comfort. And it's not huge, because my plan right now, especially for out of the city, is to have at least a charger every 75 kilometers. If I can do that, in the OMCs, in the real estate the OMCs have, I can assure you, you will be able to drive electric across the country, whether it's a truck, whether it's a personal vehicle, a taxi, a matatu, or even a big HCV.
Thank you so much, Moses. I'm sure there are a lot of burning questions in the room, but I'm also sure that those four gentlemen would be very happy to answer them after the panel. Or? Of course, go on.
No, it's just I wanted to help Moses, and Olivia, I wanted to pick up on your question. So when you talk about electrification, there are certain questions that must be answered, and when you talk about non-matatu type vehicles, Scania isn't in that area yet, but we're coming. On the big buses, the coaches and the trucks, you need to be very clear about whether you're a return to base operation where you can do home charging, or whether you need convenience charging along a particular route. And I think Moses was saying 75k. Scanias in Europe, we need them probably every 300k. So they go a bit farther than that, but they're bigger. From a gas perspective and anything else, Scania's been supplying these types of technologies in every country in the world for years. So my team, if anybody is interested in seeing what it is in real life, we can connect you to a customer in the UK, in Chile, or anywhere else, and you can talk about the real life environment, the good things, and some of the challenges like range anxiety, and don't take it from a salesperson. You know, you speak to a customer, and then you get the good and the bad. And we can facilitate those conversations, irrespective of what type of industry you're in. We can help. That's not a Scania pitch, that is a customer-to-customer conversation. So we can do that for you, if we're interested. We can step into that.
Awesome, thank you so much, Vincent. I'm glad I let you talk, it was great.
Just before you close.
Yes, go on.
Just before you close,
yes.
I know we have online viewers who have been raising their hands.
Aha! Very important.
See them, yeah? And an online viewer, I don't know which camera I'm using now, this one probably. An online viewer by the name Wahundonga is asking, where does road safety fall in the sustainable transportation plan? I know we have Engineer Ndichu here from the State Department of Transport. Maybe you might want to pick that, yeah? And then another question is, what road safety measures are being implemented when it comes to e-mobility? So I don't know who wants to pick this. Engineer, you want to pick this? Okay. Okay. The second question is, what road safety measures are being implemented when it comes to e-mobility? And the first question is, where does road safety fall in the sustainable transportation plan?
Thank you. My colleague and senior Director Kengori is also around. And today is a very good day because the PS have given a highlight. But let me give you a small hiccup of who we are Mechanical and Transport Directorate is the chief government technical advisor on all matters transport and mechanical. So every technology that comes in Kenya, the government has a bank of engineers who sit somewhere. They don't speak loud, they just assess. And so the aspect of safety, the aspect of reliability, the aspect of functionality, all wrapped up in a function called value for money, is all being addressed. So from the technical advisory point of view, there are some various issues that have happened, part of them which have been addressed in the e-mobility task force policy, and that is in the draft force. The PS alluded that there are 5 committees that have been formed, and one of them is looking on the aspect of standards and the technical specifications. From where we sit, we address the issue of technical specifications that feeds into the standards, that feeds into the policies on that. And so towards that end, we also have an arm. The safety aspect is shared majorly between 3 arms in government. That is the National Transport and Safety Authority, NTSA, there is KEBS, and there is us. At the point of entry, KEBS have stated what they need. For example, in importation, even if it is a new or if it is second-hand, the battery life has to be at least 80%, and there are those aspects of inspections that we are setting on that end. The other thing, we have gone ahead to revise our career guidelines for engineers to ensure that we have capacity on that. We have onboarded mechatronics engineers, so that at least that aspect is well addressed on that. And so yes, the issue of safety is very critical to us and is being addressed not only at the policy level, but at technical level. I was happy today when I had somebody from Rome. I'm one of the people who sat in Rome one day for training for 2 weeks on that. When the EMAC organized their first e-mobility training conference, we were part of them, and the government has onboarded some of the experts in that field, in the material science and the electrical space, and we are doing a lot towards that end. Allow me, before I conclude, I comment something that we are doing with GIZ. I can see Michael on that. Then PS alluded on something on BRT, and we said we are very serious with electrification of BRT. And there is a whole study that is being done by a government agency. It's a multi-sectoral approach, and one of the questions that has been asked as one of the TORs of that study is that where does the backstop of safety? And the answer, a preliminary answer I can give, it is a shared responsibility between those of us in government and those of you in the private sector. And that's why, as our HE has always said, it's a collaborative effort. Thank you.
If I just add a bit about what we are doing about safety. The one thing that's interesting about the vehicles that are being rolled out and it's also caught up now with ICE vehicles, is there's got a lot of telematics. So we are using our telematics, we are using the AI dash cams that are in the vehicles to help train drivers. But the biggest challenge that we have noticed, and it's actually we are changing in the design of the buses that are coming, is the risk to pedestrians. Pedestrians do not hear electric vehicles coming. So we've seen a lot of pedestrians, especially when you're on your phone, who walk just right in front of a bus because they don't hear it. And so adding small gadgets like courtesy noise when the actually bus is stopping, a sound so that people can hear it, or even the ones inside. And believe it or not, one of the biggest risks, especially when we are doing long distances, is now we are trying to study it, is we just noticed that whenever on the longer routes, we have more motion sickness in electric buses than we have in diesel buses. I don't know why. We are trying to actually understand that. So there are things, what we are doing is trying to see what challenges are coming and comparing to what's in the market, and then trying to, when we are training drivers, because we train every driver before handing them an electric bus, is actually explaining to them that there are certain things that I think it's the high acceleration, also the deceleration on electric vehicles can change how we operate, but most of all is using the technology that's on board in improving training.
Thank you so much, Moses. Now, for the last words, okay? I'm serious, I'm gonna cut you off this time. Kindly, please, because I think you've shared extremely valuable insight, right? Some of you had the opportunity to ask very pertinent questions, but it's hard for the human brain to remember everything, yeah? So what are your 5 words, right, or your 10-second, I'm just trying to go very low, okay? Try to respect the rules, yeah? So the people here in this room would remember the point of this forum, the point of being here, the point that you made. And I think we will start with you, Sandeep.
5 words. Buy biodiesel, save the environment.
Okay, who's ready?
Kenya, abundant renewable energy, curtailment at night, much made in heaven, electrified transport.
Thibault, you think you can do it?
We're going to let Vincent finish. You're going to have the last word. It will be in Swahili. Tugo pamoja. It means so all together, because we have to change things, but we can achieve it only if we are all together.
Okay, don't be scared. Talk to us.
Fantastic. Honestly, thank you so much for doing your last word. Thank you so much for all your insight. I'm sure everyone here will be very happy to talk to you if they need to. I want to thank you for respecting my rules, obviously. And if I can give my last word, I think it's amazing to see that beyond the sustainability, also and must really care about the people and care how you drive that change with the people, not against them, right? And understanding what's in it for them as well in every single part of the supply chain. So thank you again. Thank you so much. And who has the actually last word of the event? Because it's definitely not me. Who's going last? You? Perfect. So thank you so much.
Wow. Let's appreciate our presenters again. Thank you so much. Caroline, I also had my 5 words. Asanteni sana nyote. Thank you. 5. Ladies and gentlemen, at a certain point in time, Martin Luther King Jr. had a few words to say. And he stood in front of the crowd and shouted, "I have a dream." His dream was about justice and equality and a better tomorrow. Likewise, today, we sit here with a shared dream. A dream where we will breathe cleaner energy, a dream where cities will flow, a dream where our children and future generations will have a better ecosystem. That dream calls for courage, it calls for vision, it calls for action. And that's exactly what we have been doing here today, taking action to actualize that dream that we want to see in the days to come. Let's all leave this place with that in mind, that we need to take action to make tomorrow better. And now I want to bring to you Ms. Tamara Nerima, our Sustainability Director, to just be able to thank you in a special way and be able to give her closing remarks as we end this particular conversation. Let's welcome Ms. Tamara Nerima.
So thank you everyone for taking the time to be here with us today. For our speakers and for everyone who attended and participated, a heartfelt thank you. For some of you, I know this was short notice, but we really appreciate your input and your attendance of the event. Your engagement has really been the driving force of what we're trying to achieve, which is to gain momentum in having these conversations on sustainable transport, particularly in the heavy commercial vehicle sector, which most of you are participating in. We've seen that there's a lot available out there when it comes to sustainable transport solutions, and these are all within our grasp. It's just about having conversations amongst ourselves to raise that capacity, to raise that knowledge so that we can all engage. And so I hope we've given you food for thought. I hope we've given you opportunities to engage and opportunities to further this agenda on sustainable transport. So let's leave it here today and continue being committed towards building the capacity and moving on towards decarbonization. So thank you, safe travels. And for those of you that came with a vehicle, you can validate your parking downstairs on the 8th floor as you leave. Thank you again.